Hi everyone, I'm Will Brown and welcome to the WPQuickies series, bite-sized WordPress tips and tricks in 30 minutes or less. Today I'm going to be looking at several ways how you can customize your WordPress login screen. So thanks for taking your time on this rather dull and rainy Sydney afternoon. Just a few housekeeping stuff. Before we start, just make sure you press on the subscribe buttons, hit the bells, ding all those bells, click on likes and all that sort of stuff on your social channels. That'd be fantastic. We have a WordPress meetup group, so it's WordPress Sydney Meetup. You can go and search for that and kind of just join the comments. If you want to ask any questions offline as well, that's probably the best place to ask them in. If you're looking for some meetups in Australia, they're all kind of kicking off again. You can go to wpaustralia.org and there's a meetup button there. There's also a Slack button that you can join Slack and contact us in real time. I'll leave that up on the screen for a little bit. You can visit that in your own time. And just a bit of a shout out for the WordPress Sydney meetup. So we're trying to kick off the evening in-person meetups again. So the next one is going to be on the last Monday of the month, which is May the 30th at 6 p.m. We meet at the Microsoft Reactor, and that's in York Street. It's just right next to York Place Wynyard Station. Just round the corner from that next door. So come and meet us for there. It's a good chance to kind of meet people, to try and rebuild a community after the last couple of years and have some pizza as well. I'm always looking for topics for these WP Quickies, so please, you can scan that there or visit this form in the notes there. Suggest some topics for me, just so I can schedule some new topics up for the next 6 months. And I always get asked about recordings and stuff. Yes, this is all recorded. It's streamed on Facebook, it's streamed on YouTube as well, so you can rewatch this at your leisure. But all the links as well, the link to the presentation and any links that I mentioned throughout these WP Quickies, I always copy them into the comment that's either the video description or the comments below after the stream has ended. So you'll get all the links for those. You don't have to remember and type them all down. Feel free to ask questions, drop them in the chat, as well as who you are, where you're from, what you do as well. We'll see who's online today. We've got D123. Welcome. We've got Jean from the Central Coast. We've got Cameron. Hey, Cameron, how you doing, buddy? Mr. Meowpuss, greetings. Lovely rain here in Sydney. Yes, it is. Absolutely drenched today. Very, very wet. Okay, let's jump in to this one. I'll make a little bit bigger. There we go. Okay, so the main talk today, going to be talking about different ways to customize your WordPress login screen. Okay, now, why create a WordPress login screen anyway? Why create a custom one? Well, as everyone knows, the default WordPress login screen looks like this. It has a WordPress logo. At the top, it has WordPress colors, and it's got the link that says go to my WordPress website down at the bottom. Now, that is fine if you are running kind of a small personal blog that not many people are kind of looking at for those. But it's not okay if you're running a professional site. If you're designing client websites, this is not okay. You don't want somebody else's brand on the login page. And your client, if you're developing client websites, they're going to be logging in all the time. So they're going to be seeing WordPress. That's no good. So if you're a WordPress designer or developer, you need to be delivering a completely branded website experience. And that includes the login page and the other related pages as well for registration and password recovery. We're kind of going to be concentrating just on the login page just for this WP Quickies. Now, by branding these pages, the solution that you're delivering, the complete website you're delivering, looks and feels more professional, and your clients will thank you for that. I've been called back several times to projects, to client sites, several times just to rebrand the login pages for membership sites, for shops, for courses, and for editorial sites. So when companies doing rebranding, or they might want to put information in the particular login page that might prevent password failures and all that sort of stuff. So there's lots of reasons why you might want to customize a WordPress login page aside from just the obvious, which is branding. Okay, so here is an example, maybe a little bit bigger. Here's an example of one of my recent client websites. It's Kyala Pure Organics. They're based up in Queensland, and they basically produce organic grains. And they went through a bit of a rebranding process, and they basically wanted the login page to match their brand. Now, brand is very, very important to this client. Brand is pretty much everything to this client. They want to have a seamless transition for everything. And they do have people who log in. They've got people who create accounts for the WooCommerce store and things like that. So customers and their end clients will be logging into their WordPress website. So they wanted to brand that whole experience for that. So let's jump into how you can customize. Excuse me there. So the easiest way, really easiest way to customize your WordPress login page is to use a plugin, of course. Not everyone are developers, and that's okay. Now, there's this plugin here called Theme My Login. I tried a few just for this. So it's pretty simple. It's a simple plugin. It has one settings screen, so you can't go much wrong with the settings. So the top part of the settings page allows you to customize the way that users log in and the way that they register. So there's like the kind of collection of login pages. So we're talking about the login, which has got your username and password. We're also talking about registrations. So if you open your WordPress website up to people to register an account, you might have a shop or a membership site, that sort of way. And as well, the forget password. As well, so the forget password link as well. So there's a collection of these little pages that go all around this kind of login. So the first part of the settings page here allows you to determine the way that people log in. So you might want them to use your username only or email only for registration as well. And for that, and passwords, you might want them to allow to set their own password, or you might have something in the background that allows you then to kind of generate a password for them. But the bottom half of the settings page, that's kind of what we're looking at today. So this is where you allow you to redirect the particular login pages to custom slugs. Now, a slug is just a unique URL part to go to a particular page. And here we can see we've got settings for dashboard. So this is when they log in. Then the actual login page, the logout page, the register, the lost password, and the reset password pages as well. Now, it comes with all these default slugs. So dashboard, login, logout, register, lost password, and reset pass. For those. Now, of course, there's no pages created by default by this plugin. It's up to you to create these. So if you were just to not create any pages, enable this plugin, use the defaults, then it's got its kind of own inbuilt forms to display all these things. But the whole idea is that you create your own page. So the next step after you've reset those to whatever is then to create your new page and match that slug to use as your new WordPress login page. And what that will do is when you go into your WordPress website, do /login /wp-admin or /wp-login.php, then this will redirect to that particular slug, that particular page that you've got there. So to implement new login pages, I basically created this really rubbish and really quick WordPress logging page. I made sure that the slug matched the settings. So in here in the login, we've got just the login slug, and then on the permalinks down the side on the right, the URL slug here, I've got login. So that's a match of that. So I know that it's going to use this particular page when I log in. And now you can find that if that's not there by default, you go to page, and then you click on the permalink thing, you expand that down, you can change whatever page slug you want. And that's the thing that is appended to the URL to make that page unique to your website. Now, the next thing to do is to add a shortcode. And the shortcode for this particular plugin is theme-my-login. And then you've got a space, and then you've got an action equals, and in quotes, the particular action that you want to perform. And in this case, we're performing the login action. Now, if you look back at the settings, underneath each of these boxes, we can see there's a link, and if you click on that link, it will take you to that particular thing. And you can see here, it's got some URL parameters. So !action equals, and then we've got login and logout and register and all that sort of stuff. So these are the URLs that it's picking up on. And this is where you want to put the action in here. So if this was a registration form I'm clicking on, then I would have action equals register that would match the action that's underneath in those links. So action equals dashboard, login, logout, register, lost password, or reset pass. You'd use those. And then the system, the plugin would pick up that particular page and show that page. Fairly easy. Yep, and that's what it looked like. So here's my pants login to my website. Very quick. I think I was using 2020 theme for this one. So that's why all those branded colors, but super simple. And, you can basically knock up a login page really quickly. Okay, so plugin documentation for this plugin actually has quite good documentation. And it does run through some more advanced options that might require some code to be added to your function.php or add some code snippets, something like that. So some good options, advanced options include adding content before and after. So when you're looking at the login screen here, like before and after the form capture, you might want to add stuff there. There's also ability to add extra registration fields. So you might want to capture some more information rather than just the first name and the email and the password from those. And also there's an option there to require a checkbox as well. So you might want to make sure that people have read your terms and conditions, or for GDPR, for example, that they've read all that sort of stuff before they then go and register or log in. So some quite good options there. And as well, this plugin comes with paid extensions. So if you're looking to do the whole registration process and login process, you can then further extend that by purchasing one of these options. So for example, if you want to put people straight up onto an email list when they've registered or when they've logged in, there's a MailChimp integration, there's a Zapier integration, there's two-factor authentication as well, if you want to extend all that. Loads and loads of stuff for there. There's about a dozen extensions that you can then adjust that. So this is great if you're not a developer, and you want to put all this stuff, you want to customize this stuff. This is probably one of the best options that you can have a look at. Okay, so next I want to talk about page builders as well. So if you're using a page builder on your website, chances are you're probably going to have access to some sort of login form element or widget allowing you to create login pages. Now, this time, you can edit the page with Elementor or Beaver Builder or Divi or Auction or whatever one that you use, and use their particular login elements to pimp your login page. This example here is Elementor, and what I've done is I've obviously I'll put a header in there, but I've dragged their login element down in there, and there's lots of configurations, a lot of options there that you can do there. I've just done a basic design update for those, and here's what it looks at the back end. So nice and fancy, color branding, all that sort of stuff. You have kind of semi-control over what you can do with those, and there's lots of add-ons as well that you can get for the page builder for Elementor or Beaver Builder. It gives you a little bit more control over what you can put in that login form and all around it in all different fields like that. But I want to say a caveat for these page builders is that because the core WordPress file that allows you to log in, it's called wp-login.php, and you can find that in the very root of your WordPress installation. Now, it's not part of the template hierarchy, which means templates are not applied for it. It means so it kind of sits outside of what the extent for these page builders can do. They can only do so much, so they can apply templates to other parts of the website, but this particular PHP file, it doesn't sit in that template hierarchy. Therefore, you cannot easily replace the wp-login.php. So when you're building a login form with Elementor, with Beaver Builder, you're basically having to redirect people to that particular page. However, they can still type in wp-admin or /login or wp-login.php, and it's going to go to the WordPress original branding for those. And as well, if you put in the wrong information, it's going to take you to the original WordPress login with that kind of little shaky thing that tells you that your login data is different. Now, there may be some code hacks to get around this, but there's no simple solutions for those. So just bear that in mind when you're using page builders to try and craft or replace the wp-login.php file. Okay, now there are a few plugins that allow you the configuration of the WordPress logging page, and what we're talking about here is the Customiser. So the first plugin, it had its settings page. This one here, which is Custom Login Page Customiser, actually adds some options to the Customiser that allows you to configure the way that the WordPress login screen looks. So I actually find this one quite helpful, quite good. This one here. So there's a few options. So when you install this plugin and you activate it, when you go into Customize, you will see here that you've got the login customizer, and there's lots of different options here. It actually comes with maybe 5 or 6 different templates. They're not great, to be honest, but if you're just looking to put something different rather than the WordPress branded stuff in there, then that's probably quite helpful. It's a good place to start with those templates. Otherwise, you can do things like you can change the background, you can replace the logo, you can change the login form, colors and text and fonts, the fields as well. You can choose those. You can change the button as well, the styles and the colors for those. There's a few handfuls of extra stuff in the others, but it also comes with this custom CSS and custom JavaScript fields as well. So if you really want to go to town and pimp your login page, you can add extra stuff in there. And because it's not got everything in there, it does allow you to target those particular areas with custom CSS. And I find that quite helpful because there is on the WordPress default WordPress login screen, the button on the text on the button actually has text shadowing on it, which I actually hate. But I couldn't actually remove that. There's no option in this plugin to remove that text shadow, so I had to put an extra bit of CSS in there just to get rid of that text shadow, which I absolutely hate. So this is an example. I'll make that a little bit bigger, get rid of me. There we go. This is an example of playing around with this particular plugin there. So what I've done here is put a custom background, the same kind of graphic I used with the Elementor one, just to make the login form pop out a little bit. I've got a little robot dancing there. It's an animated dancing thing, but you know it's a screenshot, so you can't see him dancing for there. And I've just kind of branded it with that same colors that the robot has as well. That took me about 5 minutes to do. For those, lots of different settings that I could change in font sizes and things. So that was really, really helpful. And it's within the Customiser, you know, so it's not got its own settings. So you're kind of familiar with how it works already with using the Customiser. So I love this little thing. I thought it was really good. The last one I want to talk about is changing WordPress login page using code. Now, of course, using these plugins is really good. It's nice and easy, but of course, they're going to add extra stuff, you know, that to your WordPress website. Maybe the front end, maybe it's loading JavaScript files or CSS files, or maybe they come with assets as well that they're loading in, which is going to slow down your website. So the most efficient way to create a custom login page and specifically target the WordPress login page is to use a bit of code, a bit of PHP, maybe a bit of CSS, just to change the WordPress login screen for those. Now, if you are not comfortable with modifying your functions as your themes functions.php file, then you can use this little plugin here. So it's called Code Snippets. I've installed this on a heap of my client websites. I could probably do a quickies just on this, but it allows you to add PHP code and other code as well into a nice clean interface. So like this. For here, I'll get rid of me. Very easy just to enter PHP code. And it allows you to add these little snippets in. You can put a little title, a little bit of description so you can remember what it was about when you're looking at it in 6 months' time. But really easy way. And you don't have to bother about FTP or SFTP or editing your functions.php file using the appearance editor. Please don't do that because it's really nasty experience. But here we have a little bit of PHP code here. This code here replaces the WordPress logo on the login page. Remember, obviously, to change the code to your own files. So that could be in your theme or it could be in your media library for those. So let's see what that looks like. So I've used the URL for the little robot for there. This is a PNG, just the one. And you can see here, it's still branded with the WordPress colors. So you can still see the blue, and unfortunately that text shadow is still there on the login button, but it's a start. You know, and it's a start for you to build up changing the WordPress login theme. So I've got rid of the WordPress logo, put a nice little robot in there, and then we can start enhancing the different areas of the WordPress screen. Now, if you have a look here at the function, I don't want to delve too much into this, but basically what we are doing is we've created a function called WP_login_logo, and then we've added that as an action to login in queue scripts, and then we've added that function name. And within that, we're just basically writing some CSS. That's all it is. So what this does is the function will run. It'll add this CSS to the top of the WordPress login page, and then it'll apply all that CSS. So you can basically have a look. You can run your logging screen under your browser, your developer tools. Have a look at the inspect element, find out all the CSS classes and elements for those IDs, and then you can just target them. So if you want to change the field, you can find what the fields are, what their classes and IDs are, and then you can go back into the code for this one, and then just add them as CSS. As long as you're targeting the right one, it's a really easy thing to do. So it doesn't just have to be custom login page logo. You can do the whole login form if you want, and that's really good using this little code snippet plugin. So here's another little thing that I tried to do. So this is just to make a really simple quickly branded login screen. So version 5.9 of WordPress, it added this language selector at the bottom of the login page. So if you're running multiple languages on your WordPress website, you'll see this little switcher thing coming. I always create my WordPress websites with Australian, English Australian. So there's those couple of language options. So that did appear. Now, if you want to remove that and just keep your WordPress login page super simple for your clients, there's a little code snippet here. It's a one-liner, so it's really easy to do. I've put this in a different snippet from there. I could have put it in the last one, but I like to keep all my snippets separately so that the customers, then clients, can see exactly what it's doing. So this is just doing a simple one line, and all it's saying is that particular language dropdown, I don't want it, so I'm just returning false. So it doesn't run that function. It doesn't display it at all. It just gets rid of it, and it's going to end up looking like that without there. So those are two really, really easy things. Replace the logo, get rid of the language switcher, and you're starting to rebrand this WordPress logging thing. And I guarantee you 99, maybe 90% of WordPress designers and developers won't go through this step of rebranding the login page. They'll just deliver the website and leave the WordPress branded stuff on its own for those. Now, just kind of wrapping it up, I use this method. I use the code snippet method. I use in the functions, but you could use the same method to create all my client website logging screens. So I don't use plugins. I don't use page builders. I do the code because I'm a coder. So I want to make sure that they are lean, mean, and obviously I want to make sure they work on mobile stuff as well. Now, you can see the complete code. I'll copy this link and I'll put all the links, as I say, in the video comments afterwards. But you can visit that link just now. It's a guest on GitHub. There's a lot of letters in there, but that'll give you the full code. I don't want to split it because it's quite long. The full code for branding this kind of 2-column login screen. I like these 2-column login screens here for those. So what I've done here is a 50-50 split. On the left-hand side, you've got your login. So you've got your branded logo. You can see I've got the different colors there as well. I've got rid of the language selector for those. And then on the right-hand side, in this case, because it's my own website, I've just got a picture of me staring at people for those. But you can put anything you like in that right-hand column or switch them the other way around. I've got clients who display important information that people need to know before they log in. For that, or notices, or things like that, or just complete rebranding, or maybe highlighting products or new courses that have come out for those. So this little bit on the right hand side, that can change depending on what your client or your needs are. And of course, this is fully responsive as well. So that's what it looks like on the mobile phone. So it drops the logo down to a particular size, and it gets rid of the right hand side column. So if you want to know how to do that, follow that guest, and all the code is in HD. Copy and paste it into your code snippets or your functions.php file for that, and then just change all the assets and the colors for what you want. Okay, so there are many, many ways to be creative with the WordPress default login screen, or to create a new one if you want. If you don't already do this for your own and your client websites, I urge you to give it a go. It just raises that level of professionalism just to that next level that your other competitors probably aren't doing. Okay, so any questions? I know it's a pretty simple thing today, but if you've got any questions, you can drop them down in the comments just now. Jean says the coding method is easier than I thought. It's really easy. All it really is a PHP function to put the CSS code into the page, and that's it. And it's just CSS for the most part for those. So yeah, I really do urge you to try it. It's lean and mean if you're doing the code one. You can't really go too far wrong with the code snippets as well. The code snippets has a lot of protection as well, so it tries to do some syntax checking. So if you've done some really bad stuff in there, it should highlight it before it saves it and then white screens your site. So you should be pretty safe in doing that. Okay, here's me. So if you want to contact or connect with me, I've got 4 websites. The newest one is willbrown.com or willbrown.au. I'm toying over which one to become the primary. I'm mostly on LinkedIn these days under willbrown.au, on Instagram sometimes, and kind of rarely on Twitter. So next week on the WPQuickies, I'm going to be talking. This is a rescheduled one. I was a bit sick a few weeks ago, so I had to reschedule some of these. So this one is on archiving posts, and this one was suggested by one of the WPQuickies viewers, and I love this because when you talk about archiving posts, you think, oh, that's great. Yeah, just get rid of that post. But it's not as easy as it first sounds. And I'll go over some of those reasons why you would want to archive or why you might not want to archive posts in WordPress next week. So thank you guys for joining me. I'll see you guys next week talking about archive posts. Take care and see you then.